Okay, I'm gonna carry on from where I
No,
stopped.
you got to continue from the beginning, not the middle.
All right. Anyway, Banquo sneaks off in the middle of the night as soon as he hears that King Duncan has
Babe, you
been
can't just
killed.
start in the middle of it.
So Macbeth is like a loyal, ferocious, heroic warrior of the king. And he's fighting at the beginning of the play with alongside his best friend Banquo, and they defeat the enemy. They win the battle, and on the way back home from winning the battle, they bump into these 3 witches, and they mention Hecate as well. They've all got their own, what's it called, animal thingies.
Familiar.
They've all got their familiars as well, and they tell Macbeth that Macbeth is going to be king. Now Macbeth thinks that's a ridiculous thing because he's so loyal to the king, but there is a seed of greed that gets planted in him
when they say these things.
And then he goes back, and Banquo is like, oh, just ignore those hags. But Macbeth cannot ignore them. So when he gets home, he gets home to his wife, Lady Macbeth, and he tells her that he came across these witches and they prophesied that he's going to be the king. And Lady Macbeth then starts to seduce and convince him to the idea that he should kill the king, King Duncan, who's a good king, and go to, when the king's going to visit them and stay at their castle that night to congratulate him for winning the battle for the king. She said that's when they're gonna kill him so that Macbeth can become the king. Yeah.
Treachery is afoot.
And there's one part where someone greets him with like a higher title than what he has, and he says, "Why do you dress me in robes that do not fit me?" Meaning he's not like earned those titles, but he's worried about it, and he's guilt-ridden in the beginning about this prophecy, like what's going to happen. But after Lady Macbeth like viciously tells him how much she loves him and she would do anything for him, she would smash the brains of the baby suckling on her teat if he asked her to. Yeah. And so he's shooketh, and he has to listen to his wife. That's what he thinks. So then
she'll smash a baby suckling on her teats.
Yeah, like who loves, like who can love someone that much? Wild.
I don't know.
It's a weird kind of love.
I don't know.
He has a conversation with Banquo in the middle of the night. Banquo can't sleep. He's saying, "Oh, it is an eerie night. I cannot sleep. Something unsettles me," something like that. And then Macbeth's like, everything is fine. Go to sleep. I can hear like supernatural things like dogs howling and like.
Okay.
Huh?
He was like, ignore all that.
Yeah. He's like, everything's fine, and then sends his friend.
I do the same thing.
Banquo off to bed, and he takes the daggers. He goes to the King Duncan's bedchamber. He kills the security guards, servants who are guarding the door. He goes inside. Oh, he sees a dagger, like a ghostly dagger, in front of him. There's a famous line as well. Can't remember what it is. Should remember it. But it's basically like, what is this dagger I see before me? And it's like his guilty conscience is still telling him like not to do it, but he ignores it. And he proceeds to, stab the king whilst he's sleeping. I mean, he was such a ferocious warrior, and now he's killing the king in his sleep. It's such a cowardly thing, yeah? Smears the blood onto the servant guards and plants the daggers onto them. He goes back to Lady Macbeth and tells her the deed is done, and then she kind of has a mental breakdown and becomes hysterical, and her guilt overtakes her, and she's like, all the perfumes of Arabia will not wash clean the scent of murder or whatever from my hands.
Sanguinor.
Yes, and she says something about all of Neptune's seas could not wash away, all of this stuff. mythology, isn't it? Yeah. And from that point, you don't really see Lady Macbeth again. All she's doing is like going, rambling in the middle of the night. She's sleepwalking. Her servant maid is like worried about her. She calls a doctor, and then the doctor's worried about her, and she basically just dies in the end, right? So all of this proclamation of I love you, do anything for you, but actually he does the deed, and they don't end up being happily ever after in the end anyway.